Hello there, and welcome to episode 197 of the FlameFlash.net podcast. Welcome aboard. We're trying a completely different sound setup this time around, so hopefully it works. Hopefully it works well. I'm actually going to pause for a second and double check so you get a little behind the scenes look, I guess, as we test this out. A little more behind the scenes testing as we play with things, just to make sure there's no echo like the intro just had. So with sound testing out of the way, I think we're ready to launch in.
And it's really funny to how it works.
Yeah. So no more echo, and it's coming through loud and clear from what we can see on the monitors.
Yeah.
But this week was kind of busy, wasn't it? Like there's an appointment almost every day, it feels like. Um, we're just now recording here on Father's Day, even. So, yeah, just a busier week in general.
Yeah.
But it's still summer break. So, what have you been gaming?
Um, Mostly just WoW whenever I had the chance, or Helldivers with Caleb.
And then, have you still been doing some more Red Dead 2?
Hmm.
Awesome. And you're enjoying that?
Oh, I'm loving it.
Are you doing the online portion or the story mode?
I'm doing the online more.
So, we finally found an alternative for you from Wild Wild West in um,
Wild Wild West.
well, what is the Roblox game that you used to play?
The Wild West.
The Wild West. Okay.
I plan to still play that when I'm playing with Caleb and Kat, but that's about it.
That's crazy that we've successfully finally torn you away from Roblox. We have filet mignon available to you in the gaming community with, a PS5, and there you are in Roblox. So it is nice to have you out of Roblox.
Yeah, no more solo gaming at least. No more solo gaming on Roblox.
Yeah, yeah. I, I totally get using it as a social gaming aspect because that's how we game. That's why we game a lot of times as either as a family or with our friends.
Yeah,
It's pretty rare to be solo gaming these days, isn't it?
yeah.
Yeah,
Unless I'm like working for the auction house at WoW.
right. Yeah, if you have a specific goal in mind to accomplish, um, cool, very cool. Because we barely did any WoW in the last week, right?
Correct.
Like I think we did a little bit after the podcast and tried out the duos. What do you think of the duos?
I don't remember it. I was practically half
Yeah,
asleep.
okay, so we'll have to go back in. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed the challenge. I enjoyed the presentation. I enjoyed the fact that you could go in as any role you wanted, healer, tank, or damage, and then the game filled in the rest of the party for us.
Yeah.
I appreciated that. And then otherwise, this week for me, um, barely been able to touch gaming, I think. Just it's been that busy. We did a little WoW, that was about it. We're hoping to meet up with your brother later this evening to play something, but that's why we're sneaking in the podcast now. Process it, maybe game for about an hour before I start on dinner, and just enjoy the day.
Yeah.
Um, so this is probably a shorter episode. We have commentary from Karma from last episode, agreeing that the games that we discussed on last time sound awesome. She's not big into the adulty type games. Neither am I, frankly. If it's M rated, it's hard for me to play a lot of times because F this, F your mom, F everyone else. Blood, 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 and death. It's just not my cup of tea. You know, I when I play to relax, disassociate, and have fun, not rampage murder through who knows what.
That's
Typically,
actually what I've been doing sometimes.
rampage murder. Well, yeah, in Red Dead Online, didn't you tell me about somebody waving to you and then you just punch them? Like, dude, it's yes, it's the Wild West, but that doesn't mean you just get to be evil.
Why'd you just punch them?
Oh, I
Hey,
I didn't punch them right away. I waved first.
oh, you waved back first,
Yeah. And
That-
then punched them.
That
and then
doesn't make it any better.
that makes it worse. It's like, oh, this guy's gonna be friendly. Oh, wait, fist to face. Wow, dude. Okay, okay.
And then I took a knife to his throat.
Would you like to meet my fist? His name is Jeffrey.
Jeffrey Bezos. Yeah.
We're not autistic at all.
Thank you, Bo Burnham. But I agree that the Lego Party game sounds fun, especially for families. And I think it's exciting too about making your own minigames. It'll be interesting to see if we pick it up for the family, who makes what and what everybody does with their minifigs. And what parts are even available. If it's everything under the sun that's been licensed and made available by Lego, this thing's going to get wild fast. I could see like a Darth Maul head on, I don't know, a Captain America body, just as a weird random example.
Daddy,
Huh.
Yeah, exactly.
can you show these to the camera?
And Thunder wants to show off a couple of stickers that's going to not be great for the audio version, but hello, Bluey. Quick advertisement, I guess.
Yeah.
And then it also astounds Karma regarding how desperate for money they seem to be with the Switch 2, and that they're upping the prices on the games. And I agree on that because, like, typically, if it's a game that's been out for who knows how long, like Breath of the Wild is $70 on Switch 2.
Ugh.
That came out on the Wii U as one of the last games released by Nintendo on the Wii U.
Shouldn't it be cheaper then?
It was a launch game on the Switch because it was a double launch on both consoles.
Mm.
And now you can also get it on the Switch too. And it's basically the same price, if not more, than when it first came out on the Wii U. Excuse me?
Yeah.
That's where the greed comes in. The desperate for money. You're exactly right, Karma. Like, if I was to pick up Breath of the Wild, which I've never even played Breath of the Wild. I played it, well, I played it very, very briefly, and then I gave the card to your brother. It's like, this is sitting in my backlog. It's doing me shame. Supposedly it's one of the, bless you, supposedly it's one of the best games of the Switch generation.
Mm.
And I was just sitting on it. So it's like, here, Sword Agent, play it, have fun. He had a blast with it. He loved it. I'm just an adultier adult and have zero time. And she mentioned should have tested the compatibility of Switch games and Switch 2 before releasing. Yeah, it's unfortunate. Hopefully, the storage thing is more firmware rather than game updates. So then Nintendo is pushing firmware updates to the Switch 2, and it won't eat a huge amount of update storage space. Speaking of storage, Walmart brand ONN has a Switch 2 compatible micro SD card because Switch 2 can only use micro SD card express, and the 526 or whatever it is, 516 costs as much as the 256 of any other brand.
Hmm.
So you can double your storage capacity if when you do need an expansion, you buy the ONN Walmart brand. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
They're sold out presently because the internet has figured that out, but they figured it out. So either that's going to bring other competitors down in price, or Walmart will be a jerk and up the price on it. We'll just wait and see. Karma points out, not a political individual. However, we have a president and a millionaire fighting like babies for the last piece of candy. Yes, the Musk Trump fight was absolutely glorious. I haven't seen anything really about that recently. Have you?
Nope. The only political thing I've seen is Trump looking sad at his parade.
So we might as well rain on his parade. So that was yesterday, the 14th, and I've seen numbers. How many people do you think attended?
I believe it was 10,000.
Oh, okay. So you've seen the numbers too. Approximately 10,000 people.
Mhm.
How many people nationwide do you think participated in counter protests to his parade?
Probably like 1 million or more.
11 million is the estimate. Nationwide.
Wow.
So that's, Chicago, New York, Atlanta, Los Angeles, Salt Lake City, Denver, just to name a few.
Wow. Siri. Siri, shut up.
And a series going off in the background. Excellent. So, yeah, the current estimation is 11 million people showed up nationwide to protest No King's Day,
Wow.
as it was called. So, yeah,
Is there any way we can get that to shut up?
not easily. Let's just ignore it. But it's not being picked up on the microphone. It just keeps wanting to translate to a language. It's so funny. Um, they're being petty and could be worrying about better things than some websites. Please don't apologize for ranting. You're leaving your comment so we can engage with it. It's appreciated. So, because that's what she ended with was sorry for ranting. That's why the comment section is here. Um, any other political? That's way distracting you, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. We are being derailed by an angry Siri. I'm glad I can merge this in post because now an alarm is about to go off too.
Yep.
There we go. Okay, so once we're done and the files have started processing, I can go get the laundry from the basement. But anyway, so any other political news now that I've made the Siri be quiet?
Apparently, the uh, I can't remember the name, but some part of the army has gone to LA.
Oh, the National Guard. So Trump decided to federalize the National Guard. There's an Insurrection Act on the books. He loves going and finding ancient laws that have just been left on the books and going, I'm going to use this as the tool to do a thing that isn't really acceptable anymore. So the last time this law was used was during the Civil Rights era, and the president federalized the National Guard to protect black students so they could attend public school.
Hmm.
A justifiable, greater good purpose. They were because the state itself was refusing to acknowledge the court order saying these students may attend school, which is definitely more of an insurrectionist act because the state is refusing to follow along with what the feds demanded, right?
Yeah.
Well, Trump goes and triggers it because he's offended that individuals in Los Angeles are protesting against ICE, the Immigration Customs Enforcement, which is fairly is in American history terms is a very new department. It was put in place by W back in around 2000,
Hmm.
so it hasn't been around very long. And what they are doing is they're going and taking tax records and tracking down illegal immigrants and saying, "Hey, thanks for paying your taxes. Now get out." Right? Seriously. Seriously, yeah. So all of the claims from the far right saying that illegal immigrants are only bad for the economy, they're a drain on the economy, they're criminals, they don't add anything to society, etc., etc., etc. All of the negative talking points. The only way they're finding these people is because they're law-abiding citizens enough that they're paying taxes.
Wow.
They're literally waiting for their days in court to be heard, to become citizens, or to have like a visa to stay more permanently or something.
Hmm.
And yet, ICE is showing up to take them away because they pay taxes. Naturally, because Los Angeles is a bit more left-leaning, there were protests. There were people throwing things at ICE agents. Nothing life-threatening. You shouldn't be throwing anything anyway, but nothing life-threatening. These were angry people trying to save fellow fellow community citizens, we'll put it that way, rather than American citizens, because clearly their um, status is actually up in the air. So community citizens, they're part of the community and defending them. So Trump federalized the National Guard to go and protect uh, ICE agents so they can continue to harass, round up, and deport. Similarly, they have dispatched Marines for the same purpose. So American soldiers now on American soldier are on soil are being dispatched.
Lovely.
Yeah.
I'll have to probably check with you, but I believe I saw footage of a Marine just shooting a news reporter in the leg.
That was a police officer shooting an Australian news reporter with rubber bullets. Yeah.
Lovely.
And they caught it on camera. If it's the same clip I saw, the lady standing there talking to the camera, and you can see in the background an officer just turn toward her
Mhm.
and shoot. Yeah, yeah. So that was an Australian news reporter. They're covering the protests, and the officer just went, "Oh, look, somebody with the news!" Bang.
Lovely.
Yeah. So that was the police,
Mm.
not military. Police are paramilitary, so they're kind of military, but they're still local.
I mostly said military because it looks like a rifle.
Yeah, they were in riot gear and they were shooting rubber bullets.
Okay.
Yeah. So non-lethal round, big air quotes. They're still firing something at a high enough velocity that it's going to do damage. And if you hit the right spot on an individual, it's still going to kill them. The probability of killing them is just lower with a rubber bullet. But if it say hits an eye or an ear or it could still unalive somebody. Yeah.
That sucks.
Yeah. Any other political items?
Not that I can think of.
We have a heartbreaking thing more local. Um, we heard about it yesterday. I went and looked it up. Two Minnesota lawmakers and their spouses were shot in their homes. Somebody dressed up as a police officer, not actually a police officer. Let's make that 100% clear. They were impersonating a police officer, used that cosplay to trick their victims into opening their front doors, and Representative Melissa Hortman and her husband Mark were killed, and Senator John Hoffman and his wife were taken to the hospital for surgery. The Mrs. Hoffman was awake as of last night, doing well, based on this quick Minneapolis news article I pulled up for reference. So it's everyone was a member of the Democratic Party. So it's already being deemed a politically motivated crime.
Lovely.
Aren't police officers only legally allowed to come into people's houses if they have a warrant?
That's right.
But
Or are invited in. They're like vampires.
Hmm.
So if they're invited in, they can also enter. Don't invite police into your homes without a warrant. Just as an aside. But
and also the person wasn't a police officer.
right, this person was not a police officer. They were cosplaying as one so that the individuals would open their doors because as members of government, they're part of the legislature branch, and they thought a member of the executive branch, a police officer, was standing on their doorstep, so they opened the door. Wasn't truly the case. I mean, even still, that is why if an officer shows up somewhere, you ask for a warrant, and if they don't have one and can't produce one, you just go on your way or send them on their way because you don't open the door fully. You talk to them through the door. Even if they complain about not being able to hear you, Then you have the protection of the door to slow down any weaponry. It's just one of those safety tips because you don't know if they're legitimate or not. If they're insistent, call the department. Be like, hey, there's somebody on my front step saying they are police officer so and so. Can you confirm that they are in fact standing on my front step? Okay, do they have a warrant? Okay, please tell them to get off my front steps then. And that's how you can go about it without ever actually opening the door and engaging, because the moment we're accidentally segueing from a tragedy to personal civil rights protections, but they parallel. Um, Officers will, for officer safety purposes, take an open door as an invitation to say, put their foot in the door, preventing the individual from ever closing it again. Or when the individual does try to close it, saying, oh, you attacked me with the door, and then they have supposedly probable cause to force their way in and try to arrest you for that.
I still think that should just be illegal on the officer's part.
It should be ideally, so they can't abuse that, but it's not yet. So civil rights protection wise, you don't open the door for police officers. Because in this tragic event in Minnesota, that wasn't really a police officer. In other situations, it might just accidentally escalate the situation because you've opened the door, they're overly aggressive, and they force their way in under false pretenses. So, I mean, had hindsight being 2020 and respectfully to the victims, had they followed proper civil rights procedure, they may not have been victims. They were quelled, unfortunately, into a false sense of security because they were also part of the government. And that's what makes it heartbreaking. They thought they were safe.
Yeah.
I don't want to end on a downer. Anything fun in the news? Oh, wait. There's a supposedly, and I did not confirm this with other sources, but supposedly there was a taco truck set up near the parade, and they did have an AI generated piece of artwork of Trump in a chicken costume.
Wow.
Not confirmed, but I'm going to laugh at the idea of it regardless. But any other thoughts?
Mm, not that I can think of.
Okay, well, may everyone enjoy the rest of their Father's Day, or whenever you happen to listen. I hope you had a good Father's Day, if you are of that gender identity, and we'll process the file and get going with other festivities. I think we're having spaghetti tonight, most of us. Some of us are pickier. Well, everybody's picky in a certain way or another.
What?
Yeah.
You put your headphones back on, never mind. I was trying to call out the sibling over here and it didn't work. But this has been episode 197 of the FlameFlash.net podcast. If you'd like to leave a message or a comment, you're welcome to go on YouTube and leave comments. It's not ranting, it's just engagement. Otherwise, podcast at flameflash.net. to send in an email if you don't want it out there publicly, or you're welcome to leave a comment on either the flameflash.net post or the flameflashpodcast.wordpress post. So there's multiple ways to leave comments if you so choose. And with that, we'll sign off and get processing, and in about an hour, think about dinner.
Live with honor.
Indeed.